Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy yet? Let us shout for joy that God is waiting to be gracious to us. God is merciful. He is our strength, our hope, and our inheritance. We're transformed by the renewal of our mind. He has a lot to tell us. He loves to walk closely with us hand in hand. Believe in His love always. With the presence of the Lord, I have strength to face all things in life. We have the strength and the motivation in life. We roll with the punches. We walk and live in the will of God. We are emancipated from the bond of iniquity. Now we are more than conquerors. Brothers and sisters, His desire is to be the closest to us. His heart is very fervent that He yearns for us to show our face and speak to Him. He will not force us. Yet, we are so blessed that we can come to God at any time without any procedure, without any offering. It's so good. We shouldn't neglect the great blessing of God. Let us come to the Lord and enjoy Him. I'd like to sing a hymn with you, drawing near the Lord every day. Let's sing it to the Lord. Help me then in every tribulation, so to trust Thy promise, O Lord, that I lose not faith sweet consolation over me within Thy holy word. Help me, Lord, when toil and trouble meeting, ever to take as from a Father's hand, one by one, the days, the moments fleeting, till I reach the promised land. Draw me, comfort and compel me, give me brave to face all things. Strengthen me, give me power in life to pass through all trials and mountains. I'm peaceful with you in battlefront. Fear no more, no turning back. I can face the challenge in life with you and challenge all things in universe. Day by day, you long to meet me, long to see my face and hear my voice. You rest in your love and rejoice over me. Think of me, decide me day and night. How I treasure your manifold love, surround and be filled in my heart. Draw me to love your appearing, hope to see you in the clouds soon. I hope you have time to quiet yourself and respond to Him, or you can sing another hymn to worship the Lord. Let's have some time to be with Him face to face. You can stop the recording and we'll read the Bible when you're done. May the Lord bless you. Brothers and sisters, we'll read 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 24 to 52. The men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, saying, Cursed is the man who eats any food until it is evening, and I am avenged of my enemies. So none of the people tasted food. All the people came into the forest, and there was honey on the ground. When the people had come to the forest, behold, honey was dripping. but no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan didn't hear when his father commanded the people with the oath. Therefore he put out the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes brightened. Then one of the people answered and said, Your father directly commanded the people with an oath, saying, Cursed is the man who eats food today. So the people were faint. Then Jonathan said, My father has troubled the land. Please look how my eyes have brightened because I taste a little of this honey. How much more, if perhaps the people have eaten freely today of the plunder of their enemies which they found? For now there has been no great slaughter amongst the Philistines. They struck the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon. The people were very faint, and the people pounced on the plunder, and took sheep, cattle, and calves, and killed them on the ground. And the people ate them with the blood. And they told Saul, saying, Behold, the people are sinning against the Lord, in that they eat meat with the blood. He said, We have dealt treacherously. Roll the large stone to me today. Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and tell them, Every man bring me here his ox, and every man his sheep, and kill them here, and eat. And don't sin against the Lord in eating meat with the blood. All the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and killed them there. Saul built an altar to the Lord. That was the first altar that he built to the Lord. Saul said, Let's go down after the Philistines by night, and take plunder amongst them until the morning light. Let's not leave a man of them. They said, Do whatever seems good to you. Then the priest said, Let's draw near here to God. Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Will you deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he didn't answer him that day. Saul said, Draw near here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see in whom this sin has been today. For as the Lord lives, who saves Israel, though it is in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man amongst all the people who will answer him. Then he said to all Israel, You be on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side. The people said to Saul, Do what seems good to you. Therefore Saul said to the Lord, The God of Israel, show the right. Jonathan and Saul were chosen, but the people escaped. Saul said, Cast lots between me and Jonathan my son. Jonathan was selected. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what you have done. Jonathan told him and said, I certainly did waste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand, and behold, I must die. Saul said, God do so and more also, for you shall surely die, Jonathan. The people said to Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who has worked this great salvation in Israel? Far from it, as the Lord lives, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has worked with God today. So the people rescued Jonathan, so he didn't die. Then Saul went out from following the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. Now when Saul had taken the kingdom over Israel, he fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the kings of Soba, and against the Philistines. Wherever he turned himself, he defeated them. He did valiantly and struck the Amalekites, and delivered Israel out of the hands of those who plundered them. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan, Ishvi, and Malchishua, and the names of his two daughters were these, the name of the firstborn, Merab, and the name of the younger, Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. The name of the captain of his army was Adnah, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. There was severe war against the Philistines all the days of Saul, and when Saul saw any mighty man or any valiant man, he took him into his service. We talk about how Jonathan and his armor-bearer rushed into the Philistine garrison and killed 20 of them in chapter 14. Undeniably, these two men were very brave. However, they were not strong enough to secure a decisive victory. I believe God was the one who intervened, who made the Philistine garrison and even the raiders tremble and the earth quaked. In the will of this, Saul mobilized his forces immediately. He found the Philistines were striking each other with their swords. Verse 23 states, "So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over by Beth-aven." We had concluded it was the Lord to save on our last discussion. This statement gives us a big encouragement and a reminder that our victory depends on God. It is God who saves our spirits. What we have to do, or perhaps the only thing we ought to do, is trust in God. Then God will give us victory. Moreover, it is strange when we read verse 24, for Saul had adjured the people to make an oath, to attack the enemy without eating anything. Who would place such an order to send people into battle on empty stomachs? I find this military command was very foolish, risking the lives of men. Verse 24 states, "The men of Israel were distressed that day, so none of the people tasted food." We may understand the thought and action of Saul. He liked to boast the morale, just like a Chinese idiom, "cut off all means of retreat." We shall have the determination to win and fight to the end at all costs upon facing the enemy, even without food. Or perhaps Saul had laid an oath on the people to attack the enemy without eating, as he sought to press the advantage, to strive forward in order to consolidate his power through total victory. Regardless of the intentions of Saul, in my opinion, his demand for an oath was wrong. I don't know if you agree with me, for verse 23 already says, "So the Lord saved Israel." It does not depend on human effort, neither fasting nor working hard to promote victory. It is right to devote ourselves. However, what we should rely on is not ourselves, but God. We should devote ourselves to trusting God, which is the right way. In my opinion, I believe what the Israelites need most at that time was to rest, knowing that the Lord is God, and people should rest in His presence, enjoy His love, and give thanks to Him. This victory was given to them by God. Their hearts should boast and rejoice in Him, in order their spirits and their faith in God are strengthened. In addition, I'm thinking God wanted Israelites to have a glorious and honorable victory for sure, not just had the victory but starved to death. I believe God also liked us to be more than conquerors, joyful and boastful in Him, rather than merely surviving a trial or win by a narrow margin. Brothers and sisters, we can be more than conquerors through the Lord. Let me ask you, have you shouted for joy yet? Let us shout for joy. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Therefore, no matter what circumstances you're facing, your heart can rejoice greatly in the Lord. We aren't self-comforting and smiling no matter what happens. Rather, our mind thinks of those precious truths, and we smile from the heart. Let us recall that we are Abba's dear children. We are born of God. We have the deepest and the most precious affection with Abba. Not only do we treasure and cherish, it is also the enjoyment of Abba when we rest in His bosom. We can also meditate on being the Lord's darling and united with Him forever. The Lord dwells in our hearts. Wow, isn't that sweet and precious? Let's come back to this passage. The command issued by Saul left the people exhausted and in hunger. But the military order was absolute. and the people had no choice but to obey with dread. However, Jonathan didn't know about this order which his father has issued, so he took some honey with his rod and ate it. He said his eyes became bright, which meant he felt refreshed. When the people saw Jonathan eating, they told him that Saul had laid an oath on the people not to eat anything, otherwise they could be cursed. Jonathan disagreed with his father's decision. He felt his father had burdened them unfairly. He believed the people should eat freely, for they would be able to kill even more enemies. So they ate freely when the people heard Jonathan's words. However, they were out of control that they took sheep and oxen and calves and slaughtered them on the ground, eating them with the blood. When someone saw this, they reported to Saul, saying the people had sinned against God by eating with blood. This saying was true. According to the law of Israel, it is forbidden for them to eat meat with the blood. This was indeed sinful and an offense against God. You can refer to Leviticus chapter 7, verse 26 to 27. If you want to know what the law was about, as well as Leviticus chapter 17, verse 10 to verse 13, and Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 23 to 25, also mentions the law related to this issue. I wonder if you still remember what I talked about chapters 14 last time. I mentioned that in the right there was wrong, and in the wrong there was right while reading this chapter. It contained both right and wrong. It taught us not to see things purely as black and white, as if they were neither right or wrong. You can take this, for instance. Saul went to battle to fight the enemies. It was right to try his best, but it was wrong to forbid people to eat and even lay an oath on the people. As for Jonathan, he ate honey unaware of his father's military order. I don't think he did anything wrong. Ignorance is not a crime, and given his exhaustion and hunger, it is natural for humans to eat. What's wrong with that? However, Jonathan was also wrong. After blaming his father had troubled him, he declared the eating were permissible, which it was. However, his decision was too hasty. The people immediately slaughtered the captured sheep and oxen to eat after they heard what he said. Eating was fine in human nature, but eating meat with blood was wrong. Jonathan was also wrong when he failed to stop them once he saw them doing so. Brothers and sisters, our action in one single matter can be both right and wrong. It's difficult for us to judge when it mingles with the right and wrong. Never say that he was right or wrong at once. I believe the motive of Jonathan to his people out of love. He found it was inappropriate for them to fight with hunger. However, it could be an opposite outcome even if it come up with a correct decision. The law of God was violated as well. Brothers and sisters, there was nothing wrong for Jonathan to tell the people to eat. Yet, it was fine if they had eaten according to the word of God. Hence, have you noticed, as a matter of fact, the most important is whether people respect God, respect His word and His will. We shall never assume that human nature is always right, for this is not the standard for Christians. We do not act according to people's standards, but act according to the standards of God and His will. Therefore, we cannot simply say that human nature, or everyone does it this way, must be right. Our standard of conduct is based on God's words and His will. Do you get it? I'd like to share with you verse 35. It says, Saul built an altar to the Lord. This was the first altar that he built to the Lord. It specifically mentions that this was the first altar which Saul built for the Lord. In fact, building an altar was right, for the sacrifices were offered to God. But what was his purpose in building the altar? Verse 36 says, Then the priest said, Let's draw near here to God. This means building the altar had a purpose, to enable the people to draw near to God. However, Saul intended to pursue the Philistines after building the altar. For in verse 36, Saul said, "Let's go down after the Philistines by night, and take plunder amongst them until the morning light. Let's not leave a man of them." Thus, we know clearly the motive of Saul to build the altar. It was not for himself, nor for the people to draw near to God, but to continue fighting. But why did he build an altar and then go to fight? Personally, I believe Saul was expressing his godliness. I'm being mean to say that Saul was a fake. He was a hypocrite indeed, pretending himself to fear God. You see, that was only his first time building an altar. He hadn't done it long ago. He was taking advantage of the people eating meat with the blood to accuse them of sinning against God. He then ordered them to roll a great stone and repeat the scene by bringing their oxen and sheep for slaughter and eat. But the point was to forbid eating meat with blood, which sins against God. I don't think Saul was not intended to offer the sacrifice, but a warning to his people. In my opinion, Saul pretended to fear God, to trap and control the people through religion and the name of God, pushing them to fight, threatening them so they were in fear. Perhaps I'm exaggerating, but no matter what, the sacrifice of Saul was not a sincere offering to God. He didn't intend to offer the sacrifice for the atonement for his people, nor was it a sincere attempt to bring his own heart and the hearts of his people before God. Verse 36, Then the priest said, "Let's draw near here to God." Truly, this statement is meaningful. Brothers and sisters, may we remember this statement once we wake up day to day. The very first thing we do is to draw near to God. Truly, it is the most important part of the day, a good portion. Verse 37 says, Saul asked counsel of God, but God didn't answer him that day. There may be two reasons. Firstly, Saul knew the answer but still asked that the people should rest and not pursue the enemy. The other reason allied with Saul's own thoughts that someone among the people had sinned. Therefore, God did not answer him. Hence, he cast lots to find the main offender. The result was very special. The last two people drawn were Saul and Jonathan. Seems it was telling us that the troublemakers were the father and the son, Saul and Jonathan. And I also pondered, in the end, the lot fell on Jonathan, not Saul. I think it was a relief for Saul at that moment. Well, it's all right now. If the Lord had fallen on Saul, then he would be so embarrassed. It turned out that Saul was the one who sinned. However, in the end, the lot was cast and fell on Jonathan. I truly believe God had a wise arrangement. The fact that Jonathan was chosen by Lot, it doesn't mean that Jonathan was guilty, nor didn't mean God agreed with Saul. For there was something wrong with Saul's approach. He intended to kill whoever the Lord's destined. Let's think who was the best for the Lord to fall upon. It had to be Jonathan. Only the people could get away if Jonathan was chosen. Thus, the last part of verse 41 specifically emphasized, but the people escaped. In fact, I can see the wisdom and love of God through this verse. As you can imagine, if the Lord hadn't fallen on Jonathan, but one of those people instead, Saul would have executed him. It would be pitiful and put God in a difficult position. Because in verse 41 says, Therefore Saul said to the Lord of Israel, show the right. And God sorted out this matter in a humorous way. In the end, only two men remained, father and son, Saul and Jonathan. Finally, Jonathan was chosen. Of course, the people refused to let Saul execute Jonathan. They pointed out that Jonathan, who had worked this great salvation in Israel, far from it, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has worked with God today. That was how the people saved Jonathan's life. You can read verse 45. The people even make an oath to save Jonathan's life. Here a foreshadowing was planted for us. The Israelites disobeyed the command of Saul, since they were already not happy with Saul as king. Verse 47 to verse 52 of this chapter can be seen as a concise summary of Saul's life. Many things about the sovereignties of Saul were not recorded. The details have been carefully selected, as if there truly was little worth mentioning. The last few verses merely highlight his authority as king, who constantly attacked the enemies surrounding him, and he was able to prevail against them wherever he was. Saul also recruited any valiant man to himself. God enabled Saul to go forward continually. God remained gracious to Saul and still gave him chances. Saul should have found Samuel and led Samuel to assist him, to help him govern and to help him to repent. Though Saul was weak, God was still gracious to him and protected him. The love of God remained steadfast, and he still listened to Samuel's prayers because he still cared for Saul. That's all for my sharing. I hope you have time to draw near to the Lord. Do you remember what the priest said in this chapter? Let us draw near to God. This is how we start our daily life. It's the personal time for you to come before the Lord and Abba. You can sing him a song. You can read the Bible. You can pour out your heart to him. Or simply quiet your mind and gaze upon Abba and the Lord. May your heart enjoy his quiet presence with you. This is a precious moment. May the Lord bless you.